I think it's about time we had a talk. We need to sit down and we need to speak about what's happening over at Marvel Comics Division right now. It seems that every single day, a new high profile writer or artist at Marvel Comics, or in the comics industry in general, is going out of their way to denounce Comicsgate. They're blaming us for hatred, vitriol being spewed, when at the end of the day, what does Comicsgate want? Good comics. That's it. They're calling us bigots, even though our main focus is we just want good stories that are worth spending our money on. I'm not going to spend $4 for a comic $5 for Captain America that yells at me about immigration rights and yells at me about how communism is great. Absolutely not. So what's going on? Why are they doing this? Look, there are no coincidences. The older I get, the more I realize that everything happens for a reason. Now, not in the grandiose sense of, oh, there's a greater master plan. No. But that everything is motivated by something. Everything happens because of something. So what's causing these comic creators to have to circle the wagons and come out in force against Comicsgate, especially in the past 2 weeks? The answer is really actually very simple once you get down to it. Sales are down. Regardless of what they want to say, sales are down. Now, I've heard differing numbers from everybody, but I do have one person who tangentially works in the comics industry, and his info has been very good so far. He was the one who told me that Uncanny X-Men was coming back like a year before it was announced. He was the one who told me about Nick Spencer on Spider-Man. He was the one who told me about Ta-Nehisi Coates on, on Captain America, even after everybody denied and all these insiders came out saying, no, he's not actually on Captain America. So he's been right more often than not. He's told me a bunch of other things, some smaller things that have come true. He told me some things that have changed. But he gave me a number of the sales dropping that is within the range of the numbers that I'm hearing get like kind of tallied about. And he's saying the big thing that he said was that it's a noticeable drop, and that it's not being looked at as an outlier. It's being looked at as a trend. So the comics division knows what's happening. They know. And Disney knows. And that's kind of the most important part, because we're going to talk about what's going on with Disney right now. Because Disney is taking a lot of gambles right now. And they're either going to become a fucking juggernaut of media, or they're going to collapse. Disney right now is betting the entire farm on this new streaming service that's due to come out in 2019. Igle spoke about this yesterday. In a bunch of interviews, and a bunch of people have spoken about it, but I think that there's a couple things that are very interesting about it. Number one, they are dumping a ton of money into this. A ton of money. Not only that, they are withdrawing their Disney properties from Netflix at the end of this year. They were making a shitload of money off that. Guaranteed money. And now they're going to bank on themselves, thinking that they can create a new streaming service, which I'm going to call Disney Play, because that's the name I've heard significantly tallied about, although I've also heard that's not actually the name. That's going to be something else. But we'll call it Disney Play just for brevity. But Disney Play is pulling all their media off of Netflix, who they have a huge contract deal with, and they're going to do their own streaming service. And they're going to have, all their movies on. They're going to have allegedly all their cartoons, all their kids' TV shows. But they're sinking a lot of money into it, and they're getting rid of a lot of income that they're generating right now from Netflix. Not only that, the Disney Studios division has been doing very badly. We've had Wrinkle in Time was the biggest box office bust, but you also have a lot of movies that should and were expected and projected to do extremely well that didn't. Need I say more Star Wars? It seems like the Marvel movies are the only ones that are making money. So when we look at this, we think, well, how does Disney usually recoup money? So they're in the hole right now already, and they're going to be in the hole even worse. And not only are they not making money, they're going to be losing money from their Netflix deal. So how are they making money back? Well, they usually do this with their theme parks. The theme parks are the big saving grace for Disney. It was quite possibly the best investment that Walt Disney did, these fucking theme parks. So what did the theme parks basically tell us? Well, we can look at pricing from the theme parks, and we can see what they're doing. And let it be known, souvenir sales, and I got this from Clown TV, and they've reported on this before, souvenir sales, like the one English word that I still can't pronounce, have gone up $3. The vast majority of souvenirs at Disney theme parks have gone up $3. This is in direct correlation to Disney Studios losing money. They know what's happening. They know and they always do this. This $3 souvenir sale increase is the highest that I think it's been in 20 years. Oh, speaking of interesting things that have happened in the last 10 to 20 years, here's another problem. Disney theme park attendance rates are lower for the first time in I think 10 years. For the first time in a long time, Disney theme park attendance rates are decreasing instead of increasing. They've always increased. So what's that telling us? Now it's telling us that projected for next year, they're not going. What they usually used as the stopgap to stop the bleeding, what they usually used in order to recoup money, is no longer recouping their money. So they are taking a massive risk with Disney Play. They are betting the farm on Disney Play right now. And what happens when you bet the farm and you fail? Well, they are too big to fail, so Disney's not going to go away. It's not like they're going to split from a giant monopoly that they are. What's going to end up happening, though, is that they're going to start making cuts. We've already seen massive cuts at ESPN. We've already seen massive layoffs in their television studios division. And by the way, this isn't just with Disney. Viacom is doing horrible. Nickelodeon is doing so bad. It's utterly ridiculous. But what is this? But you got to think about this. So what are they going to do? Well, they're going to start trimming the fat on low-performing divisions. And what's a low-performing division that everybody has their eye on? The comics division. Now, they're never going to do away completely with the comics division. The big reason being for intellectual property reasons. In order to renew your intellectual property, you need to utilize it. It doesn't matter how you utilize it, you just need to utilize it. They can't put out an Inhumans movie every year. They can't. They can't even do it probably every 5 years. But what they can do is put out Inhuman comic books, and those revitalize and re-energize and kind of resubmit the intellectual property and renew it for themselves. It's one of those things where if you don't use it, you lose it. So the comics division will never actually go away. However, you think they're going to keep all these writers? You think they're going to keep all these editors? How many books has Marvel put out? They're still flooding the shelves with their books. You think Disney's going to want them to continue doing that and sink them even worse? Absolutely not. They're probably just going to have... You're probably going to see an influx of team books. You're probably going to see... I can actually imagine the Inhumans just kind of like meld... something like Defenders. You're going to have street-level books. It's like street-level team books. I think that's what the Defenders was supposed to be. You're going to have, obviously, Avengers. But you're going to have a lot of these like new team books that are kind of just like there to get people to get their spots in, so to speak. And to renew the intellectual property on them. I guarantee that's what's going to happen. And you're probably going to have less than 10 core writers doing all of these. It's definitely going to be a callback. And the stories are going to be simpler, because they have to be. Which might not be a bad thing. And you're probably going to have less books, because you're going to be able to hire less artists. Actually, I would say that even less than 10 core writers. You're probably going to only have like 4 or 5 core writers. Maybe they'll bring somebody in to pay peanuts too. Like a Mike Costa, so to speak. But that's what's going to happen. And that's why it's going to happen. So now let's go back. Let's bring this full circle. Let's go back to the very beginning. So why are these comic pros lashing out at us? Why? Well, think about it. When you corner a dog, what does it do? Not even a dog. I don't even want, let's not use that example. When you corner somebody who's desperate, what do? They're going to fight back. They're not going to surrender. They're going to fight back. They're going to fight back with everything they have, because that's it. That's all they have left. And that's what these comics pros are doing. They see the writing on the wall. They know what's going to happen. Basically, if Disney Play does well, the comics division is essentially safe. Although maybe not, because we don't know what fucking Eigel is thinking right now, or what these higher ups are thinking. But if Disney Play does bad and doesn't do as well as they had hoped, and you know how these companies work, if something fails out the gate, they don't give it time. They just fire everybody. So if that happens, everybody's screwed. Everybody at Marvel Comics division is screwed. And I think, that's my theory at least, and I think that they know that. I think they understand that. All the signs are pointing to Disney taking a huge gamble and that Disney will potentially lose a lot of money. And what happens when you lose money? You got to make cuts. So that's where I see things standing now. That's why I think that these comic pros are kind of lashing out. I think it's just out of desperation. I think they're upset. They know what's happening. They're really, really betting the farm. The reason that they're all kind of congregating and they're all circling the wagons is because obviously, just say you have 10 writers, 8 of them get cut, right? Now let's say a couple months later, the editors come, we have room for another writer. Who can we hire? Obviously, the person that you kissed ass to, you're going to want one of those 2 guys who are still hired, females who are still hired, you're going to want to hire your friends. So I think that's why everybody's doing it. It's for self-preservation. They don't actually believe this nonsense. They don't. They flat out don't. They're just kissing each other's asses so that just in case something happens later on, they could potentially have a job. Which, would I do the same thing? I don't know. I haven't been in this position. Yeah, I don't know. But I also do think it's interesting that all this is coming out when Zach is also fulfilling, and everybody's going to start fulfilling all their Indiegogo orders. And somebody at Disney is looking at this and saying, how do we make that Zach money? How are we not making how are we not making $500,000 per book? Why aren't we making this kind of money? What are we doing wrong? What is he doing right? That's the question they should be asking. Not what are we doing wrong? What is Zach doing right? Anyway, let me know what you guys think about my theory. I know it's a little longer form video, but I felt like I needed to get this information out. It's something I've been thinking about for the last couple of days. And I listened to a couple of... Clown TV did a great rundown of the Eigel interview, which really helped me out. And then I kind of did a little deep dive, and I kind of saw... this is what I've kind of put together. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me at Trajan Channel on Twitter. And I will catch you guys later.